What's happening, everybody? Welcome to episode number 3. At the end of the last video there, if you missed it, I'll put it up here. But at the end, I was, opening up some new brackets from TMR. Axles were getting finished up, so this episode, gonna dig more into those brackets, picking up the axles, getting those under, bunch of welding, bunch of grinding, the usual, so let's get at it. My name's Bruce Cook. I'm always on 4 wheels, so I might as well make them big. This should be my high steer arms. Yep. Passenger. Driver. Beefy. That is like a 1-inch bolt. Sweet. Even the bags are beefy. Those are some damn nice pieces. Laser cut, and they are perfect. Super cool. That guy goes there. That guy goes there. That's pretty slick. And that gets welded onto the knuckle. So, for these knuckles, it's recommended that you take them to a machine shop to get the, they're freaking heavy, old hole for the tie rod drilled out. It's like 15/16, and we need it to be 1 inch. So they suggest that you take it to a machine shop to get that punched out. So obviously I'm not going to do that. I'm going to learn the hard way why they say to do that and do it myself, or attempt to anyway, and then take it down to a machine shop and have it harder for them to correct. So also there's this little nubbin here on the cast that needs to be ground down because that's where the TMR high steer arm will weld onto. So I'm going to grind that down first and then see if we can punch this hole out to 1 inch for that big ace bolt. Okay, not too bad at all. Comes off like butter, as does my nice fresh paint job. Anyways, that's one down. I'm sure we'll do a little bit of touch-up grinding when I'm fitting that, but I think I'll try and get this drilled. I'm gonna know really quick if this is gonna happen or not, which I really have my doubts, but let's give it a shot. So I got my 1-inch bit. And I'm actually getting less and less confident as I go. You'd think it'd be the other way, but I really don't see this working, just because the difference between the existing hole and this is like a 1/16. So we all know how that goes. But let's give it a shot. Well, it's actually going. I've only broken my wrist twice. So that's good. 3 times. Probably 20% of the way through. Lots of lube. Use lots of lube. Keeping in mind, I don't have much force behind this at all, because if I push, I just tip back. I want to use one hand here so I can pull it in, but then I break my wrist easier, so I think we're on wrist break number 3 or 4, so that's not bad. Wrist and drill break on that one. 5, 6. Okay. Hopefully the wrist saver. It's probably going to be about 1.5 inches by the time I get through this thing. Not keeping her super steady. We're almost through. I don't know if it's the drill bit smoking or the drill, but it's okay. Ooh. Yeah, the drill bit doesn't look very good, I'll tell you that. Oh well. Oh! Woo! We're through. That was actually slightly easier than I thought. I broke my wrist 7 times, but we got her. Okay, let's see what we're working with. Got that ground down, that drilled out. I mean, she's no machine shop, but hey, bolt fits. And we're gonna call that perfect. Now this one over here, tripod down. Anyways, what would this be? Driver's side. You just got a little guy, relatable. So I'm gonna try this step bit. It probably won't work well. It goes to 7/8. Of course it wouldn't go to 1 inch, so we'll do that and then have to break some more wrists with the big bit, or I go buy a different step bit. We'll see. Little around the rim. Little on the old shaft. We got 7/8, which isn't what we want, but it's something. So I was able to get it drilled out with the new drill bit. Went through pretty easy. And this one, I got the TMR high stir bracket kind of put together. This one's only 3 pieces, so pretty simple. The big ass bolt put through, holding it in place. And then I got the Heims just kind of as spacers right now because I don't have a 2-inch spacer. So just for tacking, so it doesn't do anything weird. And yeah, I'll get it tacked in a few spots and then I can weld it up. So that looks good enough for now. I'm gonna leave it at the tacked stage. I'll get that one kind of mocked up and put the Heims in there and do the same as this, tack it in place. And then I'll be ready, because I don't want to heat up and do everything twice. I'm going to try and do it at the same time. Heat this one up, weld it. At the same time I got that one heated up, weld it, and then jump back and forth, and then I can cool them down slowly at the same time rather than doing the whole thing 2 times at a different time. So I got both knuckles tacked in place. Seem like they line up pretty good, but I'm just gonna keep them tacked for now until I can put them back on the axle and make sure everything lines up and looks right, and then I'll fully weld them. So that is going to do it for today. I will see you tomorrow. What is happening, everybody? I'm feeling slightly unmotivated today. Can't even fix my hat. So I'm waiting for the axles to get back. Kind of need those to get them under the truck to start measuring for links and whatnot, but I figured today going to do a couple stupid things like pop the windshield washer fluid reservoir out of the way because it's in the way for the tire, and then gonna grab the old plumb bob and start dropping some lines off the frame, get centers and everything, so when I get the axles back, hopefully tomorrow, didn't need that anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna get the axles back hopefully tomorrow. I can slide them under, drop them on my center points, and we'll start measuring from there. The truck is looking pretty large at the moment, doing some rough measurements with the tape. So it might be a little not road legal. But that's okay, just matches the rest of my vehicles. I'm back, I gained some motivation, fixed my hat. It's a big day. So yeah, the windshield washer fluid reservoir, holy, used to be right here, kind of right in front of the tire. So it would definitely hit that. Here's where we're at for height, just below my head. Headlights, door. So this is about as low as I think I'm gonna be able to keep it, which is already well above legal, so whatever. Like I said, I don't have my axles back quite yet, so I'm going to be dropping the old bob from the old center. I think I'm gonna keep this axle centered just because for looks more than anything. I know it would be better to put it forward, but I'm gonna keep it there. So I'm gonna make some marks on the ground and get prepped for when I get the axles back. So for the rear, center of frame and center of axle, I'm using, you can see the 3 holes. Oh, there's actually more, but those are the bolt holes for the bump stops, and there's a hole right in the middle of the frame and middle of the bump stop, which is obviously where the middle of the axle was. So throw the old plumb bob on, straight down to the ground, make some marks, and that's where the axle will sit. I've now got that on both sides. I'll probably strike a line across with a straight edge, and then that's where the axle is going to set when I get it back. To start. Next up, I figure I will throw together some of these TMR brackets because they come not assembled. Thankfully, there's some instructions online for these more complicated ones because it's pretty confusing without. So good instructions that show step by step what goes where, and then I'll tack them together. Already got this one kind of set up. So I have to tack this side in place first, because then we flip it upside down and put the other one. This is the rear bracket, or the frame side. So the lower links will be 0 degrees, and then the uppers will point in at 22 degrees to the center of the axle. Open the instructions back up. They're sweet. I got it together. Pretty fine looking piece of equipment. This would definitely be easier with a second set of hands, but when you get it, it makes you enjoy it that much more. So yeah, this all lines up sweet, and perfect overlaps, so you can weld, tons of penetration. Pretty sweet stuff. And I'm back. Another day. Gonna get some good stuff done today, is what I tell myself. Today, going under. I made these plates boxed in the frame a few days ago, whatever it was. But now I'm looking at it, and my frame mounted 4-link brackets will be going right here. So I need to box this in also, and then it'll sit right there. The uppers go to the middle, lowers to the outer axle. So need to beef that up a little bit because it's looking a little weak right now, and I'm not just gonna weld to the bottom and the top. So do that on both sides. So just gonna do my best to trace this out. Good enough. So I got that mark. I'm gonna make it longer than this, but it's all parallel, so I can make it as long or short as I want. And then just with this shape on the end. And also gonna have to move where the lift is grabbing the frame because they're right in the way of where the links need to go. So gonna have to move those forward a bit and then find a new spot for the front ones, which will be a little more difficult. Got a couple plates made up. Should do the trick. One way or another. One side works better. Yeah, there we go. That should do. Clean up the frame and weld that puppy in. So before I start grinding and welding, I'm going to move the lift pads forward on the frame so that I can access that better. So I'll bring a sawhorse in, put it under the back here, drop it down, move those forward. And the most difficult part is going to be bringing the sawhorse in because those are not easy in a wheelchair. So we'll figure it out. Piece of cake. Okay. Nothing to it. That can't be good for the legs. Good enough. Through the smoke, we see success. One down, one to go. So I got the frame welded up. That's done. Didn't show you any because I didn't feel like it. And it's not that cool. What is cool is this TMR 10.5 Sterling truss. The fitment of this thing is sweet. So there's obviously the top plate that goes on there. Got it all marked out to grind that off, clean it up, so I can tack this puppy on, put the top on, and then the two 4-link brackets go on top. So I got the axle truss on there, ground down, spots where I need to weld. It fits sweet. Shout out to TMR once again. So I'm gonna get this tacked in place, get the top on, and then that's gonna be it for now. Put the brackets on top, measure for the suspension once I get it under there. Pretty much got her on there. Puppy's not going anywhere. Well, top in, stitch those because that's good enough. Yeah. Still need to finish attaching the cap piece under there, so I'll kind of flip it so it's easier for me to see. Weld that up, and then gonna try my hand at heating this up, welding the center section. I'm only gonna do a few inches, and then down there. I feel like that's a good place to learn welding cast steel before I do the knuckles for the steering. So for welding the cast steel diff, I did quite a bit of research on this, and it looks like most people recommended between 400 and 600 degrees Fahrenheit, which I did with the torch, as you can see. And then another big part is cooling it down slowly. So again, I did probably 45 minutes of dropping down the temperature by about 50 degrees with the torch, and then I wrapped it up in a welding blanket and put a couple fleece blankets over top and left it overnight. So she's all cooled down. I left it overnight with the blanket on, and no cracks. Even the little bits here that I didn't heat didn't crack. The rest is pretty much welded up. Did the top here. So just gonna do some underneath there, and then we'll get this thing slid under somehow by myself. And that concludes welding of the axle. I didn't weld the whole thing because I think that's overkill, so I just did some good 2 or 3 inch stitches along the whole thing. And now we have to get this under there by myself, and it's sitting quite high, so the jack won't reach it. So come up with something. Maybe I can lift a side at a time and drop it a few teeth, or maybe I just Tarzan swing it under with some straps. Okay. I've got an idea for an extender. It was working good. It's down. Now, this should be extra fun. So, when the axle fell, it appears to have hit my wheel, and in turn breaking a spoke. So now, she's not quite true and hardly goes around. So, got my backup set on, and guess I gotta replace a spoke now. Always something. Anyways, back to lifting the axle up. I gotta come along, and that should work. A little bit less sketchy. Yeah, right. there. I've got the marks on the concrete from dead center of the frame, dead center of the bump stops, if you watch that. So I can kind of square it up with that. Inside. There, more or less. So I'll let it down and then probably bump it over once. I can probably actually bump it over with the floor jack since that worked so good last time. Yeah, maybe I won't do that. Okay. It's in. So now I'm going to take some time and get it all squared up with the frame rails, front to back where I want it, pull the plumb bob out again, get some centers on the axle. That's going to take some time and some jimmying, especially since I can't just yank it. But yeah, that's what my next hour is going to look like. So it actually wasn't too bad. Got the old point sitting over. So what I did was grab center from wheel mount surface to wheel mount surface. Split that in half, got center, and then went from that hole to that hole in the frame, measured that, split that in half, and then measured out from the center to get that mark, and then did the same that way, and then obviously just measured this width to get a point and a point. And I mean, we're within like 1/8 of an inch, so that's good enough because I'll have plenty of adjustment in the Johnny joints. Okie dokie, whoops. After burning some wire for a little bit, I got the brackets all welded up, fully welded and tacked in place. So now I can take some accurate measurements, drop the truck down. We're around 4 feet, and I landed on that number because the wheelbase is approximately 12 feet. So chop that into thirds. So we got 4 feet or 4 foot links, 4 foot of frame, and then 4 foot links in the front also. So everything kind of is equal, and that makes sense in my brain. Got a couple Johnny joints in there and tacked the axle side brackets in place. So as it sits, which is way more than full droop, the tube will be cut to 47 inches, which makes for, I don't know, like a 40 or probably 50 inch eye to eye, maybe a little bit more, but that'll shorten up when the axle comes up. I used this level to kind of aim the links, stuffed it between and shot it towards there. I wanted to keep them as close as possible with still being able to get a nut on each bolt. So that's where that landed. And it's getting late, I'm getting tired. Still got a little more left in me, so I think I'm going to mark up the wheel well because I'm going to be cutting that out for the coilover mount. It's gonna go up into the box. I want to cut it as tight as possible so it doesn't cut the whole thing out and mud and snow and stuff can spray into the box. So time to measure that up. Just kidding. That's going to do it for this episode. If you like this episode, you know what to do. Like it, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, all that stuff. And tune back in next time because I've got a little surprise, which I'll give you a sneak peek right here. See if you can guess. Anyways, see you next time. Thanks. Peace.